We live in extraordinary times. Our generation is open, compassionate, and connected with more information and resources at our fingertips than ever before. We are not mere observers, we are creators. Every great organization started as just an idea in someone's mind. If you don't like something about the world, you can change it. You can do anything, even more than what you think. If you wait until you are ready, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. This is our time.
We made every mistake that is possible to make in a startup.
Entrepreneurship is like jumping off a cliff and assembling the plane on the way, sort of like down.
Shit's gonna happen. It's not gonna be an easy ride. It's not all gonna magically be build a great product, get some great press, raise $1 million, and then, IPO 4 years later for 10 billion. And you can't give up, and you've got to keep trying.
Have idea, write business plan, raise money, exit. Guess what? Doesn't work. Doesn't work that way.
At the beginning, I did not realize I would be an entrepreneur. For me, I had an idea and I wanted to make it exist. Then I realized that this was called being an entrepreneur.
One of the first challenge was to, get out of the dark.
Me and my co-founder David, we were in Amsterdam working for a beer brand, and we were sitting at a kebab shop a Thursday evening, I think, and we were asking ourselves, what can we do tonight? We started to look at all of the existing platforms out there, Yelp, Lonely Planet. I remember A Small World at the time for recommendations, and figured out that all of the existing options and recommendations out there are based on locations. So go to this bar, really nice drink, really nice venue, but none of them were giving us information on what's going on there today. So we went to one of them, really random night, as usually it happens when you're abroad, and it was no events going on that specific day. So kind of an average evening, and the first seed was born, which was called the Event Compass, an easy way to find all of the events around me, located on a map, basically.
The 3D printer idea actually started out with printing cakes and sweets. So it was more of a chocolate and a cake machine, if you will. But after a while, we started looking at the underlying 3D technologies and just the marketplace in general. So there's health issues in the world these days in terms of obesity and problems in many countries with that. So we wanted to look at that and see if we can help out in that area as well. So rather than just making chocolates and sweets, which is not necessarily the best solution for obesity, we thought we would still do that as a special treat, but then take the underlying 3D printing technology and evolve it to print both sweet and savory items.
It was at Christmas time and I needed to get to my home place in Vendée, which is about 300 miles from Paris. At this period of the year, all the trains were full and all the cars were empty. So there was an opportunity here to offer the available seats to passengers looking for this type of trips. This is how it began. I didn't sleep for 72 hours when I had the idea.
Can you actually teach people to be an entrepreneur? No. Can they experience what it might be like to be an entrepreneur? Yes.
We are first-time entrepreneurs in the sense that we started something from scratch for software-based. Now, when you do that for the first time, of course, you're going through a canyon of pain, as we call it. You start with all of the excitement in the beginning, and then when the honeymoon ends, you're really facing reality when it comes to that you need to gain traction, you need to make sure that you reach certain KPIs in order to be able to make a business out of it. End of the day, a startup is like the beginning of becoming a real company, which is making money and growing and being successful.
We see 140 business plans a day. We take one of them on.
When you start something, when you make something, you can sit there and sketch something on your notepad, or you can make a wireframe in Keynote, or you can talk to someone in your possible market. You can do this stuff and it builds up its own momentum. So you've just got to keep doing stuff.
We are building a small factory which is capable of cutting, milling, 3D printing, scanning objects, replicating objects. As students of architecture, we usually do many models by hands and we work till late night. And so we started looking into technologies to make those objects with computer numerical control. We started improving the technologies to a point when we say, hey, this is something we should offer to other people so they can, empower themselves with more tools and being able to build many other things.
I met my co-founder Francis at a pizza party at my neighbor's place. Just by discussing together, we realized that we were interested in the same things, and he was really into the technical way of developing mobile and web applications. It's very important to find people you get along with very easily. You don't have to force yourself into having the discussions with them. So once you find people who are convinced by the idea, who are very enthusiastic about the idea and who bring some more skills into the project, then it works. But the most difficult part is really to find the right person at the very beginning. If they are motivated and they are clever, then you should hire them. You should find every possible solution to hire them.
We were looking for developers around Europe. I was going to pitch competitions, I was attending hackathons, and I remember I was in London and then in Berlin. Twitter was having a developer conference, and next to me was this guy, so I just went for it, and I presented Vamos, and he got really excited about the idea, and it now turns out that he's our CTO and also co-founder of the company.
I'm founder of three startups, plus Aalto Entrepreneurs Society and Startup Sauna. There is a lot of things that I enjoy a lot being an entrepreneur. I think two most important things is that I get to work with best people on the planet, and that's our culture also, that we hire only the best team members, we have only the best investors, we work only the best customers on the globe, we select them, and I work with so amazing people on a daily basis, and I learn so much that I feel very, very honored. And I think that's one of the best things at building a startup.
Make as many mistakes as you possibly can. Learn that making mistakes is a very vital part of the ecosystem, and that how you deal with those mistakes is everything. Because the very essence of being an entrepreneur for me is how you handle mistakes, how you handle errors, how you get it wrong.
I would always recommend to start. That's the first thing. If you have something in mind, try it. Doesn't mean that you have to dedicate 100% to it in the beginning, but don't stand there and just have this idea in your mind. There are, luckily, a lot of events out there today that you can just go for validation. Go there, pitch your idea, does people understand it? If not, refine. And if they do, then try to see who can help you to take this initial seed into something that is as a small prototype, and take it from there. It's an incremental step-by-step approach, and I think it doesn't require any sacrifices beside of your time and also your ambitions.
We started in a basement, and literally speaking, we were in a closed environment with our own ideas, without ever being able to show everything we wanted to other people and have a feedback. When you work too much on a project because you love it, you end up not being able to really look it from a distance and have an objective view. So you basically become too much obsessed with your work that you are not able to really make a judgment.
Your business model will change. So the product you come up with from day one may not be the product that you're actually going to launch with. And we've actually changed our business and our product a few times. We've had a few major pivots, if you will.
My job is actually to deal with uncertainty. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with things that evolve, and I always evolve with things as well. It's just like if you were to cross the Atlantic from, I don't know, from France to the US, you know you have to go to New York, for example, and then there's some wind one way, some wind another way, but you don't lose your focus, you know you're going there. Sometimes you have to go on the left, sometimes you go on the right, but you know that in the end you'll be going in this direction. So dealing with uncertainty is like every day.
We are grown up and we never face any risk in our lives. We never be allowed to fail, and this is very sad because with failing we progress.
You know, we were perpetually short on cash, so we lived from one month to the other. You know, I think we're close to going bankrupt at least twice. You know, that's a story that few people tell about, you know, the successful startups, but you know, almost anyone that I know, you know, has sort of gone through that period at some point.
When we started in 2007, I mean, at our stage of seed and, you know, pre-seed investing, it was a desert. And so for the next kind of 2-3 years, we were at it alone and with a lot of support from some great VCs and some great angels.
So I'm very passionate about this company. It's almost if not a perfect fit for me, just in terms of I love technology, I love cooking and food, I love healthy things. So for me, it's fun. I don't mind getting up for work. As a matter of fact, I probably don't sleep enough because I get up in the morning to start doing things. There's not enough hours in the day.
If you can't stop thinking about something, that's a good sign. If it's in your head and it's swirling, that's a very good sign. If people tell you your eyes light up when you talk about this, that's a good sign. If time passes very easily, it's a good sign. So these are all things you should be looking for, and you could trust your own intuition. If this makes your heart flutter, it's a good sign. That's the first and most important step.
If you can find a product or service that you would use yourself, and you're convinced that if this existed, you would use it, then go for it and don't listen to people who will tell you it will never exist. But if you really know that if this service or product existed, you would be using it, it means millions of people would do the same. So just go for it and don't listen to people who tell you it will not happen. Seeing that we offer a good environment for learning and innovating, and seeing that at the same time we're building a useful service is probably the best satisfaction that you can ever dream of.
I think in venture, you always have to be kind of counter-cyclical. And so 2007, kind of those years, you know, we were about to pretty much, or getting into the financial crisis, and I think that's the best times to actually go start up companies and also the best times to invest in them. So, you know, understanding those challenges, we set forth with Seed Camp, and we made it a mission to really kind of invest in startups in Europe and make sure European founders got heard in the global chamber as such.
We went with a few friends to Stanford and MIT, and we realized that, oh God, there is all the smartest guys are building startups. They are making tons of money. They are learning a lot. And also, all the alumni, the serial entrepreneurs and the most successful people are coming back to the school and helping them out. So we came back, we started Alto ES, very small, early 2009. Started to gather the people together, the few friends that we knew in the School of Technology and the School of Art and Design and the business school that were interested about startups, and a few alumni that we knew that had made great companies like Morten Mikkos from MySQL or Peter Westerbacka from Rovio, a few others that were helping out a lot in the early days. And boom, it just took off. We had, within the first year, we had 5,000 members and we organized more than 100 events. and there was more than 200 people at every event. So it was just booming. It just like somehow there was a hidden potential. People were not able to talk about it. People were not interested about it. But when you started to gather the people together and talk about it and bring role models, it just took off. But I think the key takeaway there to learn from building the ecosystem also is that it's all done by the students. We all, Startup Sauna, Aalto ES Slush, it's organized by the students. They are volunteering. They are the smartest people in Finland. They are the future of Finland. And what they get by doing it, they get to nurture the culture. They get to learn about startups. They get huge amount of great contacts. They get huge amount of great work opportunities in a startup.
Nobody never told you can challenge the status quo and do stuff rather than being a banker or a consultant. And that's really what we try to put within the heart of the people who come to us. It's like, you have the power, you have the intelligence, you have the possibility to do things, and we can help you.
When I arrived to Berlin and I was trying to set up my bank account for the first time, not knowing German, they refused to talk to me since they were not feeling comfortable speaking English. So my solution then, as an entrepreneur would have done, is that I asked them for their computer. And the first thing I opened up was Google Translate. 15 minutes later, I left with a bank account and with a smile on my face. So I think this is the thing, like when you're moving to a city and you have the spirit of, okay, I will make it happen no matter what challenges are in front of me, you will figure out what it takes to get there. So there are no rule books. It's just about how far are you willing to take it in order to make it happen.
We've backed about over 100 businesses from nearly 40 different countries. They've raised $130 million of funding, which pretty much is at the same level of what you see in the top programs in the US. We were very surprised by the prominence of the Baltics, Central Eastern Europe, and the Balkans, because they're smaller economies, and you never really kind of think of innovation popping out of those. Those role models are encouraging a lot of the young engineers and young business people to want to start their own companies.
I'm born in Sweden, right? So I'm coming with this kind of a small city mentality that, okay, I want to go big. I want to move out from my small town. And when you are from a city, when you're born in Sweden, for example, the market, Sweden is not enough. So the first thing you start to think about when you think about big ideas is how can we do this globally? Now, Vamos started for us a global product from day one. So we are hosting events, or we are giving access to events in over 50 countries already.
We have to continually make sure that we're able to show what we have and show that we're adding value and show that we're creating value for our investors and for our next round of investors. And the final challenge has been making sure that people understand a small company of 80 people can compete with big companies like Apple and Android.
When we first started looking into creating a startup, people said you will be able to sell 1 or 2 machines every month. The first month we started, we sold over 300.
Just in the last 3 years, it's just mushroomed amazingly. But I think what's also happened is there's greater depth. So it's not just founders and just investors. There's actually a lot more talent now in product building and business development, sales, marketing, growth hacking, all of that. Innovation is just coming from literally all over, and it's not, we used to see that it was much older, so ideas came sort of 2-3 years after we would see them in Western Europe or in the US, and that's not true anymore. It happens real time. But I do think for Europe, what it means is you're going to have people who will have much more experience, whether that's because they do go start things up or join a startup, which will be really amazing for Europe. So I do think in 10-20 years we'll have had the same couple of decades that the Valley has had.
I think there's a very strong gut feeling from a lot of people that we need to change something in order to continue to thrive and to continue to accumulate wealth. And I think entrepreneurship fills that void and fills that necessity and that desire from people to reignite our growth and reignite all the things that have made us successful. We've become very lazy and complacent over the years, and I think entrepreneurship is exactly that scrappy answer to rebuilding or continue to build what we have.
I have to say, I've been here since '98, and it was pretty hard slogging until that moment in time when the market kind of turned. Nokia stumbled a bit, and people said, why not? The secure environment suddenly didn't seem so secure, and when that risk profile changes, then suddenly the students say, well, there's no risk actually. There's much less risk in doing this than I originally thought. And so a lot more people wanted to explore this.
The market is changing so fast that the big companies can't keep up the pace. It's only the young agile startups and only the young people that understands the new markets and the new needs that can change the world. I think that's the only way to do it, to build a great companies. And I mean, every big company got started from two founders in a grad school dormitory. So I think it's natural. It's the only way.
The revolution is in the will of young people to build their own project and to don't believe in frontiers. For them, like there's no difference between the countries, and they want to play because entrepreneurship is playing. It's playing and having an impact concrete on society.
If you involve passion and really want to do something great together, then people will follow you and you'll create something that's even larger than you are and larger than what you thought your idea was.
Students around the world, they empower themselves to drive their own entrepreneurship education. How about it? What are you guys going to do?
You have every year better and higher quality students coming to run the show, and it's unstoppable.